You are listening to The Standard Podcast, April 19th, 2018 edition. This week's headlines include threats being made to and at North Durham schools, Gerri Lynn O'Connor sworn in as regional chair, Kawartha Lakes applying for grant to make parks more accessible, fatal pedestrian collision, Scugog tweaks design, moving forward with temporary signs for finding bathrooms, and in arts, Richardon Studio opens doors April 28th and 29th. And in sports, Bruins hand out annual awards. Threats being made to and at North Durham schools. Dan Kearns, North Durham. Parents of elementary and secondary school students in North Durham are concerned about the recent rise of threats being made either against students or the school. According to Durham Regional Police, on Wednesday, April 11th, at about 11:20 a.m., they were called to Uxbridge Secondary School because there were reports of a student who made threats relating to the school via text messaging. Police later found the threats were unsubstantiated and there were no safety concerns. However, the 17-year-old who made the threats was arrested and charged with uttering threats and mischief. Police are asking anyone with further information about this case to contact Detective Constable Brown of the North Division Criminal Investigation Bureau at 1-888-579-1520, extension 2675. Mercedes Kennedy, the mother of an R.H. Cornish public school student, told The Standard in an email how her daughter recently experienced threats. She said, "Starting in November 2017, my daughter started getting picked on. I thought normal kid thing. Then she started crying every morning. She didn't want to go to school. Then she came home one day and said a boy threatened to kill her, and if it wasn't at school, he'd find where she lives and do it. So now months later, she's still getting harassed by him. I've called the school every time she comes home crying. All they say is they are taking appropriate measures to fix it." She also alleged, since then, her daughter has been singled out by teachers to clean the classroom after school. Durham District School Board spokesperson Charles Sr. told The Standard they are going to continue to work with the parent on her concerns. According to R.H. Cornish's Bullying Prevention and Intervention Plan, bullying will not be accepted on school property, at school-related activities, on school buses, or in any other circumstances. Example, online, where engaging in bullying will have a negative impact on the school climate. Gerri Lynn O'Connor sworn in as regional chair. Daryl Knight, Uxbridge. One era began as another ended on Friday, April 13th in Uxbridge, as Mayor Gerri Lynn O'Connor was officially sworn in as Durham Regional Chair. Mayor O'Connor was officially appointed by her peers on Regional Council on Wednesday, April 11th, to take over duties for the late Roger Anderson. Council chambers was bursting at the seams with well-wishers on an emotional afternoon at Uxbridge Town Hall on Friday, as Mayor O'Connor celebrated her last day as the head of Uxbridge Council, as well as her first day as Regional Chair. Displaying her trademark wit and grace, Mayor O'Connor was presented with the chains of office by Regional CAO Gary Cubitt. Uxbridge CAO Ingrid Svelness said, "We're all excited by your appointment, but disappointed that you're leaving. It's a great honor for you, and significant as the first woman to serve as Regional Chair, which I'm sure is very special for your granddaughter." Later in the afternoon, Mayor O'Connor explained the longing she felt leaving Uxbridge Township offices for regional headquarters after 34 years of public service. Mayor O'Connor explained, "Last night when I left, it was late, and there were a lot of tears. It feels like I'm leaving behind a family." Earlier this year, she announced that she would not be seeking re-election in the fall, closing the book on a public service career that began almost 40 years ago. Never defeated in an election, Gerri Lynn O'Connor defeated a quartet of male challengers in 1980 to become Uxbridge's Ward 5 councillor. In 1982, she would make the move to regional councillor, before taking over the mayor's chair in 1985. She would hold that office until 2006, when she took time off following the birth of her granddaughter. Mayor O'Connor added, "I took that time off, and I'll always be so glad that I did." Invigorated by her 4 years on the sidelines, Mayor O'Connor was swept back into office in 2010 and re-elected in 2014. "I feel that I'm leaving Uxbridge in great shape, and it's not because of me. It's because of the great councils that I've served with, and more importantly, that we're blessed with such great staff, and this is an amazing way to end my career." Do you have audio production needs?
I'm sure Christopher can clean that up.
Greenstream Studio is here for you.
I am completely impressed with Christopher Green's work.
Chris is hardworking, trustworthy, and on top of that, he has a great ear for audio.
His audio editing and sound design skills are very high quality.
He would be an asset to any organization requiring these expertise and attention to detail.
He just gets what makes audio compelling.
For more information, visit greenstreamstudio.ca. Kawartha Lakes applying for grant to make parks more accessible. Cassidy McMullen. Kawartha Lakes. The city of Kawartha Lakes is applying for a grant for a pilot project to test out new park ground surfacing. During a city council meeting on Tuesday, April 10th, Councillor Stephen Strangeway brought up the idea of changing the surfacing at the parks, getting an update this year to rubberized mats instead of wood fibers they use currently. Councillor Strangeway said, "Anything I have been able to read, these surfaces are the recommended surfaces. They are a superior surface. They're absolutely wonderful. Not only is it a more commonly used surfacing nowadays," said Councillor Strangeway, "but it's a more accessible product to be using for mobility devices." "They're so easy to move on," Councillor Strangeway said. "It just seems to be common sense to try it in our playgrounds." Both options meet Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act's AODA standards, but the matting surfaces are more expensive. The AODA is provincial legislation that was made to develop mandatory accessibility standards like public buildings having ramp access. The goal is to identify, remove, and prevent barriers for the daily lives of people with disabilities by 2025. Barb Condy, an accessibility officer for the City of Kawartha Lakes Accessibility Advisory Committee, thought it was worth it. Rubberized matting surfaces make a solid but soft ground for children to play on while also allowing mobility devices and people with physical disabilities access to the park, Ms. Condy said. Wood fiber surfaces can be made accessible, Ms. Condy said, but a glue-type mixture has to be added to keep the fibers together, and the maintenance could end up being more expensive than the better rubberized matting surface. Councillor Heather Stauble said, "I think it's an excellent idea. It really does change the possibilities of these playgrounds for grandparents and children who are in wheelchairs or have to use walkers to get around." Some councillors thought it was a bad decision to include it with this project due to the timing and the expense. Councillor Isaac Bredner said, "To attach it on this project, even if they applied and got the enabling grant, would cost money on a project that came in under budget." Ms. Condy informed Council, in order to apply for the enabling grant, a city has to put up 35% of the money, and the money can't come from federal funding. Councillor Bredner said, "It doesn't even make sense." It was decided they would apply for the funding this year, and if they get the grant money, they will pick a couple parks to have resurfaced as a pilot project in the city. Councillor Strangeway said, "AODA is the minimal standard. There are other things you can do to enhance it. This surface, I think you'll be very impressed by it." Fatal pedestrian collision. Brock. A 24-year-old male from Brock Township was fatally injured after being struck by a motor vehicle on Lake Ridge Road, north of Brock Concession Road No. 3. On Friday, April 13, 2018, at approximately 9:20 p.m., officers from York Regional Police received a 911 call indicating a pedestrian had been struck. A short time later, members of Durham Regional Police North Division were dispatched to the same collision, involving a pedestrian and a single motor vehicle, on Lake Ridge Road north of Brock Concession Road No. 3, in the township of Brock. A gray Dodge Ram pickup truck, operated by a 65-year-old male, was traveling northbound on Lake Ridge Road when it struck a male pedestrian. The pedestrian was seen by witnesses, dressed in dark clothing and walking in the middle of the northbound lane, with no lighting and heavy rain falling. The pickup truck collided with the pedestrian, and a search of the area by the driver and witnesses resulted in the 24-year-old male pedestrian being found in the east ditch, adjacent to the roadway. CPR was rendered by an off-duty nurse and attending emergency service members. Efforts to revive the pedestrian were unsuccessful. The 65-year-old driver of the pickup truck and his 64-year-old female passenger were uninjured and remained at the scene. Members of the DRPS Traffic Services Branch, Collision Investigation Unit, attended the scene to conduct an investigation. The area of the roadway was closed for several hours while evidence was collected. Anyone with information about this incident or who witnessed this collision is asked to call Sergeant David Phillips of the Traffic Services Branch at 1-888-579-1520, extension 5262. Anonymous information can be sent to Durham Regional Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477. Or online at www.durhamregionalcrimestoppers.ca. Tipsters may be eligible for a $2,000 cash reward. Scugog tweaks designs, moving forward with temporary signs for finding bathrooms. Dan Kearns, Scugog. Scugog Council has decided the township will purchase and install temporary public washroom directional signs in downtown Port Perry. At a meeting on Monday, April 9th, Council saw a report from the Public Works Department, which recommended temporary signs directing people to public washrooms be installed in Port Perry. The report read, members of the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee, EDTAC, together with central counties and other stakeholders, in 2017 drafted a community tourism strategy. Within the plan, wayfinding signs were identified to be installed in downtown Port Perry as a way to improve the visitor experience and, among other items, direct visitors to public facilities such as public washrooms. The community tourism strategy, including the wayfinding signs, has not been presented to Council yet. Therefore, As a bridge between the wayfinding signs being improved, EDTIC is requesting temporary public washroom directional signs be installed in the downtown area. Following this, a public washroom task force was created, which consisted of Brett Puckrin, Jack Doak, Birgitta McLeod, Kenna Kozak, and Ward 2 Councillor Janet Guido, which created a plan for 2 types of signs to be installed, a location sign and an accessible sign. The report read, the 3 accessible signs will be 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters, as no locations are listed on the signs. 2 signs will be placed at 181 Perry Street for the Scugog Council of the Arts and the entrance doors for the municipal office. The other will be placed on the building at 217 Queen Street to direct the public north of Perry Street to the accessible washroom locations. The location signs would list the location of public washrooms with their addresses and would be slightly bigger at 30 centimeters by 45 centimeters. On both types of signs, the task force recommended the township use the international symbols for washrooms, the dynamic accessible symbol, along with the word toilet, because it is, quote, more internationally known than the words washroom or restroom, unquote. However, members of council were split on the toilet wording on the signs. To be frank, I don't like the word toilets on the signs that are going to be plastered around the township. I think it is redundant to have that on there, Mayor Tom Rowett said. Adding the washroom symbols with the locations would be enough. Ward 3 Councillor Don Kett agreed with Mayor Rowett, stating that taking the word toilet off the sign would leave more room to increase the size of the font for the locations. Ward 4 Councillor Wilma Watton argued the township should consider the use of the international wording. She said, we are looking at being a tourism town, and to me, whether we put it on or not, I think toilets is the word to use. I think we would be short-sighted if we don't consider the international wording and things like that. Regional Councillor Bobby Drew said that while she didn't like the word toilets, she could live with it. Ward 5 Councillor Jennifer Back said what she has seen in this situation on signs internationally is WC or water closet. Council later passed a motion, moved by Councillor Kett, to remove the word toilets from the temporary signs, increase and justify the font on the locations on the signs, and as amended, signs be purchased and installed. Arts and entertainment. Richardon Studio opens doors April 28th and 29th. When professional artist Karen Richardson relocated to Lindsay from Port Perry 4 years ago, she came with a 15-year tradition of opening her studio to the public every spring, as part of the renowned Lake Scugog Spring Studio Tour. She's been a professional painter for 31 years and is a popular painting instructor and author of Watercolor Toolbox, an award-winning painting instruction book. Now, comfortably settled into the Kawartha Lakes community and having completed renovations to the studio and gallery space in the lower level of her home, Karen is pleased to revive her spring tradition of welcoming the public into her creative space. During the last weekend in April, at her studio/gallery, visitors will be inspired by a collection of 40 watercolor landscapes and natural studies, created in a realistic style that makes the subjects seem to come alive. Karen mounts and frames her watercolors without the use of glass, providing an unimpeded view of her artwork from any angle. With original paintings ranging in value from $200 to $2,000, in addition to art cards and reproductions, Karen is certain that many guests will find perfect pieces for their own collections. Everyone attending is eligible to enter a free draw to win one of Karen's original paintings. Karen Richardson Studio is located at 271 Angeline Street South in Lindsay, across from St. Thomas Aquinas School, and will be open to the public on the weekend of April 28th and 29th, from 1 to 5 p.m. both days. All are welcome. For more information, visit www.karenrichardson.ca or phone 705-324-4881.
Technical foul.
North Durham Sports. Bruins hand out annual awards. Marlowe Stanfield, Uxbridge. The Uxbridge Bruins held their postseason banquet on Monday, April 9th at Scrambles in Uxbridge to close the book on a successful 2017-18 season. The event allowed the Bruins to recognize those responsible for helping operate the team over the course of the season, the executive board, players, staff, families, and media members. As well, the team honored several players with individual awards over the course of the evening. As well, Daryl Knight and Roger Varley named Michael Rennie the inaugural recipient of the new media award. The team also had an opportunity to bid a fond farewell to head coach Rob Acton, who will be taking his talents a peg up in the hockey ladder next season. Coach Acton was recently named as head coach of the Junior A Stouffville Spirit, after an impressive rookie campaign behind the Bruins bench that saw the team finish in third place in the regular season standings. Mr. Acton said, "I'm really excited to take on this job. Just being from Stouffville, having played for Stouffville, and with my brother Will having played here, makes it the job. I hoped this would happen someday, but I didn't think it would happen this quickly." Coming off an improved season, the Bruins will have a new face behind the bench, but the cupboard will be far from bare. with most of the team's young core eligible to return in black and gold this fall. The Bruins will lose 3 players graduating due to age: Adam Bartholomew, Jake Justin, and Derek Dolan. For more local news, visit www.thestandardnewspaper.ca. The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio. Visit www.greenstreamstudio.ca for all your multimedia production needs.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird!
It's a plane.
No, it's the Standard!
It's what?
It's the Standard newspaper serving Durham region and the city of Kawartha Lakes. For all your local stories and much more, pick up the Standard today. Call 905-985-6985 or visit www.thestandardnewspaper.ca. Read it today.